The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions and viewpoints of the staff and management of this station.
Welcome to the wonderful world of seniors, the best of all worlds. You now have the time, resources, and ability to enjoy what you have worked for all your life. So let's explore the many possibilities available to seniors on Senior World Radio. Senior World Radio is your source for senior citizens-related topics, information, and entertainment. Now, here is your host of Senior World Radio, Glenn Howard.
Thanks so much for joining us today on Senior World Radio. We've got a great show for you, and a gentleman that I know you're going to enjoy getting acquainted with. I've been involved with the Salvation Army for several years, worked with them, appreciated their ministry, but I had the opportunity to meet Captain Carlyle Gargis. That last name is Gargis. Captain Gargis is the area commander for the Salvation Army, and I want him to come in the studio today and just tell us a little bit more about the Salvation Army and the various ministries that it's involved in. Captain, welcome to the show.
Well, it's great to be here, Glenn. Thank you for giving me that chance to be here and to share a little bit about what's going on in the Salvation Army world here in central Oklahoma.
Well, the Salvation Army has certainly made a tremendous impact in Oklahoma City. I know you've got several facilities. I've been out several times, the one out on Southeast 44th out in Del City. We've been out there with the big map of Israel and had some fun. You've got one over, I know, on southwest part of town. You've got, of course, the Senior Center. And the big new one, I guess, what's the status of the big one of 10th in Pennsylvania? How's it coming?
You know, I just came out of a meeting with that, and we are just plowing ahead with a move-in day of September the 1st. And so things are really happening fast as we're getting ready to move into a new 50,000 square foot facility.
Wow.
Of course, the reason that we're moving is the old Salvation Army, where we're at downtown on 5th Street, will now be it's part of the MAPS, the Core to Shore program. It'll actually be part of a park area there from our building on to I-40. And so that will be tore down, and we had to find a new place to do the Salvation Army work. And so we're over on the corner of 10th and Penn. We have 26 acres over there. And I think if folks would remember, that used to be a flea market over there, the old AMC.
Right. I remember the old AMC years ago. Yes,
right.
It was, I guess, one of the first really big discount stores that came into the country, and it was something new in its day.
Oh, it was. I remember our family coming up from Ada to go to the AMC there in Oklahoma City, and it's interesting that I will now be moving into that same piece of property with the new Salvation Army facility. And like I said, it's 50,000 square feet. Some of the things that we'll of course have our area command administrative offices, where we oversee all the operations in Canadian, Oklahoma, and Cleveland County of the Salvation Army. We'll also have a client choice food pantry, which we'll be working in conjunction with the regional food bank. It's going to be kind of like a small supermarket for folks to go in and get the items that they need for their emergency food baskets, as well as some fresh items. And we're very, very excited about that opportunity. And, of course, we have a large senior program where we help our seniors as well kind of meet those needs in between those times of income for folks that are on fixed income. And so we're really excited about that great new feature that will open up there. On top of that, we will have what we call the new name is the Red Shield Diner.
Red Shield Diner.
The Red Shield Diner. It will house 160, or actually seat 160 individuals, as we'll be serving breakfast and dinner there every day of the week. And so we're looking forward to that. Folks can come in and have a meal, and it's free. There's no charge to anyone. And on top of that, we'll have our women and children's shelter that will be opening up. Very, very nice facility for families to come in, and those will be set up like small hotel rooms. Really beautiful as we're seeing those, though. Actually, the sheetrock is going up on all that today, and they're painting as well. And then across the way, we have our men's shelter. Emergency shelter for folks to come in, and they could get a place that is nice, safe, and clean, and to get into a good environment. And so we're very excited about operating those, and this will kind of help our capacity go up to about 110, 115 individuals could stay with us there on the campus. We'll also be having a full complement of social services where we help folks and individuals with utility bills, emergency food baskets, clothing vouchers, and then we do help with some. We have like fans going on right now, our big fan program to help people beat the heat with our fan program. So that'll be housed there as well. Then we will have our emergency disaster facilities warehouse, which we'll house our emergency disaster unit that is always on standby 24 hours a day to go and respond to needs in our area, as well as having stockpiled resources to help folks that find themselves in disaster.
Wow, this is overwhelming, all the things that the Salvation Army is involved in doing right now, and particularly this new facility. Now, tell me again, what's the grand opening date?
Well, we're going to be moving in phases starting in September.
Okay.
We'll actually have our dedication grand opening the first week of November. So
that's the date that people who wanted to see the facility or become better acquainted would want to come out.
Sure, and of course, anytime that we're out there and you see our cars there, we'd love to take you around and give you a tour and really show off what we think is a real crowning touch to Oklahoma City, and we're very excited. But I'm saving the best for last, Glenn, because on the corner of our building, there on the northeast corner, we'll house our chapel, and it's a 280-seat chapel where we'll be able to have services there each Sunday and midweek, offering opportunities for the folks to come and to worship, those that would be staying with us as well as those in the neighborhood. So that's one of the areas I'm excited about. Of course, I've been in pastorate ministry for the last 14 years and excited to be able to get back and have that opportunity there.
I don't think most people realize that the Salvation Army really is a church.
Right. It's, in 1865, William Booth, our founder, was a Methodist minister on the east side of London, and he had just such a heart and compassion for those who find themselves out on the streets, children, men, and women, and as his heart continued to be led towards him. And so he left his pastorate there from his Methodist church and really opened up the Salvation Army work on a street corner in London in 1865. It started out being the name of the Christian Mission, but he knew it would have to be an army to combat all that's going on, and so hence the name the Salvation Army. And now we find ourselves in 125 countries around the globe.
125 countries. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've read books and stories about Reverend Booth and the work. You know, one of the characteristics of Jesus, according to Scriptures, he was moved with compassion. Mm-hmm. And the idea of the Salvation Army from its very beginning of reaching out to those who, well, we sometimes say cannot help themselves. Actually, you're helping those who should be able to help themselves. You know, sometimes we see people, particularly standing on the street corner begging you want to say, get a job. And some of us are not as compassionate as we ought to be. But the various areas you were talking about, particularly with women and children and even men who have real needs, the idea of doing something that is significant and meaningful, I'm just so impressed with what the Salvation Army is doing in that area. Well,
you know, William Booth's mindset on that was it's really hard to tell somebody about the life-changing message of Jesus Christ if their stomach's growling and they don't know where they're going to sleep tonight. We do.
Interesting. Say that one more time.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
hard.
Very powerful statement.
It's hard to share the message and the hope of Jesus with someone whose stomach is growling and they don't know where they're going to be sleeping at tonight. These are all tools for the greater goal, and that is introducing men and women and boys and girls to a life-saving, life-changing relationship with Jesus Christ. And Glenn, that is the heart of the Salvation Army. And most of us know the Salvation Army. They would think as we're a great humanitarian organization, but really we're very much an evangelistic organization as a part of the evangelical Christian church. And our hope is that we can bring people in to get them in a stable, safe environment, to give them food, to clothe them, to give them a nice hot shower, and give them an opportunity to settle down and to think and to listen and to give them the opportunity to hear the message of Jesus. And I know for me in my life, that work in my life that he did so many years ago has driven me to be where I'm at today. I always tell folks when I show them these epaulets on my shoulder, this was not my idea. This was God's idea. And see, the thing that drives me is because Jesus means so much to me, and he changed so much in my life that I have such a heart's desire to share that with the world. And as a Salvation Army and being a part of that, we are meeting people who are involved in disaster of some sort or some fashion each and every day, each and every hour. And we step into those disasters alongside people and help them get out. And for each individual, it could be a tornado that came and wiped out your family. But it also could be a mother and her child who find themselves locked out of their home and the husband has left. Mm-hmm. But to each person, it's a disaster. Yeah. But also the important news is that Jesus is hope in the disaster. And we as the Salvation Army are the ones that help deliver that hope.
The ability to get people to stop and become calm enough to really think and begin to deal with the issues. We had a gentleman on here some time ago who was a chaplain at one of the prisons. And he was talking about some of the prisoners who said prison was the greatest thing that ever happened to them. For the first time in their life, they were put in a position where they had to stop and think, and somebody really could talk to them in a way that they could listen.
Right.
Well, it's much better to do it with the Salvation Army where you're giving them a bed and some food. But the ability to relate to people and see their life change, to me, this is really the heart of everything, is the gospel, which is the only thing, in my opinion, that really changes a person's life.
Right. And that's, I was sharing with a lady the other day, I said, our we do not want to be a Band-Aid, because we believe that folks can give a food basket, folks can provide clothing, which is all well and good, but we're looking for that holistic transformation of an individual, because we're just not made up of physical needs.
Right.
We're made up of heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And as a Salvation Army, we minister to that, we try to minister to that total person in all that we do. Ministry to the complete person, because I know that real change doesn't happen until the heart's changed. And so many people I find today have bought into the lies that the world tells them, that they'll never be any good, that they're not worth it, that they'll always be lost, they'll always be a mess. But we're to tell people that no, you are precious, that you are created, that you are loved, and that God has a great plan for you in your life. And we're going to help clear out the cobwebs of what I call the stinking thinking and help you to find that wonderful.
I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio, visiting today with Captain Carlyle Gargis, who is the area commander of the Salvation Army. Hey, we got to take a break for a moment. We're going to be coming right back, so please stay right here with me.
You're nobody till somebody loves.
Have you ever had a problem, but it seemed like there was no one who could help? You spent hours calling around, being referred from one place to the next. Well, not anymore. I want to tell you about a free and easy-to-use service in Oklahoma. 211 is a simple 3-digit phone number to get help or to give help when you don't know where to turn. Dialing 211 only takes a minute, and you are connected with a caring Oklahoman who will help you find the assistance you've been looking for. With access to over 13,000 programs, Heartline 211 can connect you to local resources for many different needs, including health care, food, counseling, rent assistance, disability assistance, job services, and much more. 211 is a service of Heartline, a United Way partner agency. 211, the right first call to get help or give help 24 hours a day.
Hi, my name's Jason Ledlow, president of UT Phone, the ultimate telephone service. We're proud to be a sponsor of Senior World Radio with Glenn Howard. UT Phone is dedicated to providing Oklahomans affordable telephone service all across our great state. We have Lifeline Home Phone service starting at just $1.95. That's right, just $1.95, and most of Oklahoma's seniors qualify for this reduced home phone service. They get to keep their old home phone number, and it even includes long distance. Another great feature of UT Phone's customers really like is that it includes repair service. That's right, any repairs at no additional charge. With many telephone services charging $40 to $50 per month, it makes sense to switch your service to UT Phone. This service is a federal program that is provided through the Universal Service Fund. There is only one per household, so make it UT Phone's home phone service for $1.95. Give us a call at 800-996-0098. Again, call 800-996-0098.
I've made up my mind.
Welcome back to Senior World Radio. I'm Glenn Howard. So good to have you join me today. I'm visiting with Captain Carlyle Gargis. Captain Gargis, that last name is Gargis, is the area commander for the Salvation Army. In the last segment, we were talking about the history and ministry of the Salvation Army, and particularly about that big new facility over there on 10th in Pennsylvania. They're going to be moving into in just a couple of months, and all the ministries that they're providing, just overwhelming. First of all, though, Captain, let me ask you, tell me a little bit about how you personally got involved with the Salvation Army.
Well, you know, there was a great. I have a testimony in all this. I was a businessman. My wife and I were business people in Ada for years, and our family had been there for years. And we had been married for about 8 years, and we thought maybe having a child would be the thing that would help fill that need and that meeting in our life, because we felt just kind of disconnected. We worked a lot and just an emptiness there. Well, we did get pregnant. We wanted to have a child, and moving on down that pathway of the pregnancy, everything was going well until we found ourselves about a month away from our due date, and my wife called out from the restroom at our home, and there had been a problem. Literally, she found herself with a situation where our baby had actually kicked out the cord. She was called what they call a prolapse cord, and so we really found ourselves in a state of panic. We called the hospital. They said, we need to get here now. Really no time to send an ambulance. Here's what you do. And so we followed those instructions. We raced to the hospital there, the old Valley View Regional Hospital there in Ada, and they took my wife to the right. They told me to go to the left, and I waited in this room this Sunday evening as they worked with my wife. And the doctor came in. He was actually at home. He came in to see me. He said, I'm telling you, Carlyle, they just don't make it like this. I want you to prepare yourself. It's not looking good. And I said, and your wife, Charlotte, she's not doing well either. I just want you to prepare yourself. And he turned and went through the double doors to work on my wife. And I had been to church. I wasn't really much of a Christian at the time. I'd been to church that morning. I remember the pastor preaching that message that Sunday, talked about praying and asking in Jesus' name, and that God answers. And so I found myself on my knees in that little waiting room all by myself on a Sunday night, and I prayed this prayer: save them both in Jesus' name. Save them both in Jesus' name. I prayed that over and over. In the other room, they had to do an emergency C-section. The baby failed the Apgar test twice, which is the initial life signs. Charlotte, my wife, was not doing well at all, and I was kept praying that prayer, but I had no idea what was going on. They took the baby. They tried to resuscitate to no luck, and they actually had passed the baby to the pediatrician to file out the time of death, and life came back into that little baby at that moment, all by herself. God breathed life into her and brought her back to life immediately. My wife stabilized. All along, I'm in the other room still praying and weeping on the floor. The doctor comes in and literally picks me up off the floor by my shoulders and tells me, Carlyle, we've had a miracle tonight. And he told me just a little bit longer version of the story I just gave you. And I know very well, Glenn, that night I could have left that hospital all by myself without a wife and without a child. But that night I left with more than I could have ever imagined. And it was at that moment I told the Lord, I said, I'm yours. I'll go anywhere. I'll do anything that you ask me to do. I will follow you all the days of my life. And in that, he led me to the Salvation Army, to volunteer of all things. And we fell in love with the work of the Salvation Army in Ada, Oklahoma, in that little Salvation Army unit. And God placed the calling for full-time ministry on our hearts. And so we were the family that probably folks would say would stay there the rest of our lives and retire there. But we found ourselves selling our business, selling our home, packing up and moving to Atlanta, Georgia to go to seminary. And we were in our, I guess, early 30s when that happened. And so we were commissioned and ordained, and we sent to Shawnee, Oklahoma for our first appointment back in 1999. And we had 7 beautiful years there, and then transferred there from Bartlesville for 2.5 years and to Fort Smith for 4.5. And I'm proud to say that I actually got to perform my daughter's wedding 2 years ago. And next month, her and her husband will be entering the seminary for the Salvation Army, Atlanta, Georgia, to be Salvation Army officers.
Wow. Carlyle, that's a fantastic story. I think, so many of us, when we see the Salvation Army, we only see the feeding of the body, providing some clothes, maybe a bed for the homeless. Wonderful things. In fact, it's critical things for all of us. But the statement you made in our last segment about the very basic purpose of trying to reach out to people, I don't remember exact words you used, but something it's hard to minister to a person's spirit when they're hungry and don't know where they're going to sleep at night.
That's correct.
What was the statement? Say it again.
Well, it's that situation. William Booth thought about this, our founder. He said it's hard to share the message and the love of Jesus with someone when their stomach is growling and they have no idea where they will lay their head tonight. When the Salvation Army is there to help meet those initial needs so that we can help them with their greater needs.
Tremendous ministry, and a tremendous experience. We also do a lot of work here with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority. We've been going out doing entertainment. In fact, much of the emphasis on our show lately has been trying to find what we call Oklahoma's incredible seniors. We look for these people who are really not necessarily known or famous as far as other people are concerned, but have tremendous experiences. I remember the other day interviewing this lady in Woodward who had gone through the Woodward tornado 67 years ago, and her experiences, and a couple we had here just a couple of weeks ago that had been actually kidnapped in Argentina and, faced some real difficult things. And so we're looking for seniors, and being involved with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority, we meet a lot of very interesting seniors who have some wonderful stories, but they are so very excited about the assistance you provide to them in their feeding program, because you do a whole lot more work than just working in your own facilities.
Right. We have senior centers across Oklahoma City, and we provide meals in those facilities as well as programming for our seniors, and also transportation for our seniors too, in our transportation department as we bus them to different places here in the community. Matter of fact, the other night I got to go to my first sock hop, Glenn. It was over at the War Acres facility, and man, oh man, they had quite a turnout, and so I had a root beer float. I got the, they couldn't get me to dance, but as I got, my feet are all tangled up, but at least they let me take pictures with them, and the ladies were dressed up so cute and had a great time. And the cool thing is that we had seniors and we had their families there, and it was great fellowship, and there's just a lot of joy in those places. And that's what we do. So in our senior centers, so folks don't have to be, there's no sense in being lonely and being by yourself, as we have places across the community for folks to come to have great fellowship, have some wonderful food, and just enjoy the time together and doing all kinds of activities. We just got done having our senior fair, and coming up, in the Christmas season will be here before we know it, and we take them out on tours to look at Christmas lights. We have a seniors camp that we take them to, that they actually get to go to a camp for a whole week and just have great programming. So just a lot's going on in our senior centers here in Oklahoma City.
Everybody is a social animal and needs other people. In fact, that's one of the reasons I'm so thrilled with one of our sponsors, a company by the name of UT Phone Company, that provides discount telephone service to seniors or to anyone low income, and make it possible so they're always able to talk to others and be involved with them and contact their family any place in the states that they might happen to be. And they provide that service for them in many cases for less than $2 a month. So they've been a tremendous sponsor for us. But what kind of area does the Salvation Army here cover? You're not just greater Oklahoma City area.
Right. We've got, we have our main area command here in Oklahoma City. We also have a service unit in El Reno, where it's basically like a social services office up there. Okay. And then down in Norman, we have a congregation that's there, social services office, as well as a shelter down in Norman. So we've got Canadian, Cleveland, Oklahoma counties covered here with lots of outreach and services. And of course, we have a Boys and Girls Club as well here in Oklahoma City over at 44th Street. Congregation there here, and then we have our senior centers that are scattered here throughout the greater Oklahoma City area.
What is your greatest need from our listening audience? How can people really help you?
Well, the number one need that we have, and and I always ask for this, is prayer. Please pray for us that we are being all that God wants us to be here for His people, that we're in the center of His will. We also, of course, are looking always for volunteers, especially coming up in our Client Choice Food Pantry. We're going to be needing quite a few volunteers to help folks push the carts around and do the shopping, and that'll be something we'll be hopefully escalating up to 5 days a week. And so folks can call us at the Salvation Army for more information for that. And then for folks that, of course, we love your donation. If it's $1 or $1 million, it doesn't matter. I tell you right now, I've got $2 more million to raise to complete the capital campaign to pay all my bills from this building I'm getting ready to move into. As I came into town, we still had a little bit more to be raised, and so we're praying and seeking the Lord's heart and direction and getting that last final gifts rounded up to take care and get this campaign finished.
Speaking of giving, how in the world did the red kettle at Christmas time come into the Salvation Army?
Well, it started on a dock in San Francisco a long time ago, and as the boats would come in, there was a Salvation Army officer there, and he would be serving there off the dock side, I believe, if I get my story right. And he said to keep the kettle boiling, and that meant to keep the kettle full. And it was providing soup, but it took money to buy what he needed to keep the kettle full, and that meant full of food to take care of those. And so the red kettle kind of worked its way out of that dockside scene so long ago, and now, of course, the red kettle's around the globe and probably one of the greatest hallmarks of the Salvation Army. And believe it or not, red kettle season will be here before you know it, and we're looking for volunteers as well. And so it's a great time for your church group, your civic club, your family, to adopt a kettle site and come out and ring the bell, because that is our greatest fundraiser and something we depend on throughout the year.
Captain Gargis, unfortunately, we're out of time for the show today, but I've so enjoyed having you on here. I'm so impressed with the ministry of the Salvation Army, as well as providing service. Everybody has compassion to some extent. I think I watch people stopping on a corner and throwing a bucket at somebody standing there begging. That's a help. But to be able to really minister to them, that makes a big difference in ongoing follow-up. I'm Glenn Howard, Senior World Radio. We're out of time. We got to go. Been talking to Captain Gargis with the Salvation Army. Hey, it's been a lot of fun. We'll be back at the same time next week. Until then, be kind to somebody, especially yourself. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
I'm on the top of the world, looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find